Ever wonder why you feel homesick for a place you've never been? Or why the night sky pulls at your heart with a longing that defies logic? Here's the controversial truth they don't teach you in any classroom. You're not just living on Earth, you're remembering what it's like to be the cosmos itself. When the soul remembers it as a galaxy, everything shifts. The mundane becomes mystical, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and that nagging feeling of not quite fitting in suddenly makes perfect sense. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about recognizing that your inner universe is as vast, complex, and luminous as the spiraling galaxies millions of light years away. The cosmic amnesia. We all share. Most folks stumble through life believing they're just flesh and bones with a resume and a mortgage. But here's where it gets interesting. Your soul didn't originate in a hospital delivery room. Spiritual awakening often begins when you start questioning the script handed to you at birth, the one that says work, consume, repeat, and somewhere along the way, forget who you truly are. Think about it. Children naturally talk about other worlds where and when I was big before, yet we train that remembrance right out of them. The universe encoded you with stardust. Scientists confirm we're literally made from the remnants of exploding stars. Yet somehow we've convinced ourselves we're small and insignificant. When spiritual isolation creeps in, when you feel alien in your own life, it's not a malfunction. It's your soul whispering that you've forgotten your galactic origins. This amnesia serves a purpose, though it might not feel like it when you're drowning in mundane responsibilities and soul-crushing routines. The moment you incarnate into human form, a veil drops over your consciousness, temporarily obscuring the memory that you are, in essence, an entire cosmos compressed into a single point of awareness. Personal development starts the moment you dare to peek behind that veil, even if what you find challenges everything you thought you knew about reality. Your higher self hasn't forgotten. It's been patiently waiting for you to ask the right questions, to meditate long enough to hear the ancient hum of galaxies spinning within your chest. Consider this your wake-up call, not from an alarm clock, but from the universe itself, reminding you that awakening isn't about gaining something new. It's about remembering what's always been there. The path from amnesia to remembrance isn't a straight line. It's more like navigating through a cosmic labyrinth where each turn reveals another layer of who you've always been. Spiritual growth happens when you stop resisting the strange dreams, the inexplicable knowings, the way certain frequencies make your entire being vibrate with recognition. You might suddenly find yourself drawn to ancient mysticism, quantum physics, or both simultaneously because your soul recognizes that these seemingly different paths point to the same truth. Energy doesn't lie, even when your rational mind tries to talk you out of what you're feeling. That ache for something more, that restlessness conventional success can't satisfy. That's your soul remembering it once danced among stars, and now finds itself confined to traffic jams and tax returns, yet still carrying galaxies within. The anatomy of a galactic soul. Understanding that you're a galaxy in human form requires a shift in perspective so radical it might make your logical mind short-circuit for a moment. But stay with me. Your soul isn't a single static thing. It's a dynamic, ever-expanding system of consciousness, complete with its own orbiting thoughts, colliding emotions, and luminous insights that burst forth like supernovas when conditions align. Think of your chakras as star systems, each spinning at different frequencies, each holding specific wisdom and energy that contributes to the whole. When you experience energetic hypersensitivity, feeling overwhelmed by crowds or drained by certain people, it's because you're a finely tuned instrument picking up frequencies most folks filter out entirely. Your true self operates on multiple dimensions simultaneously, which explains why linear time sometimes feels like an inadequate container for the vastness of your inner experience. Here's where practical application comes in. Start treating your inner world with the same awe you'd give the Hubble Deep Field photograph. Each morning, instead of immediately checking your phone and downloading the world's chaos into your consciousness, spend 5 minutes in meditation simply observing the galaxies within, the swirling thoughts, the pulsing emotions, the quiet spaces between where enlightenment lives. Your soul carries what some traditions call light codes, which are essentially cosmic software updates embedded in your DNA, waiting for the right moment to activate. when you honor your need for solitude, when you create space to actually hear yourself think and feel, you're giving these codes room to unfold. Personal development, in this context, means learning to navigate your inner cosmos with the same skill an astronomer uses to map the night sky, recognizing patterns, understanding cycles, and trusting that even your darkest nights serve a purpose in the grand design. The anatomy of your galactic soul includes wounds and wonders in equal measure, scars from lifetimes you don't consciously remember, but your body somehow knows. Healing happens when you acknowledge that some of your unexplained fears, the terror of speaking your truth, the guilt that has no origin story, the sadness that feels older than your current lifetime, might be galactic residue from experiences your soul had before it ever landed on this planet. This isn't about making excuses. It's about extending compassion to yourself as a cosmic traveler who's been on a very long journey. Elevate your soul by recognizing that consciousness itself is the only constant. Bodies change, planets shift, galaxies evolve, but the awareness witnessing it all remains. That witness, that eternal observer watching your life unfold from behind your eyes. That's the galaxy remembering itself through the vehicle of your very specific, very human experience. The 7 symptoms of galactic remembrance. When the soul starts remembering its true nature, the process doesn't always feel blissful. In fact, the 7 symptoms of spiritual awakening can feel downright disorienting, like reality itself is glitching. First comes the profound sense of alienation, where suddenly the systems, beliefs, and routines that worked for years feel suffocating and absurd, like trying to fit an ocean into a teacup. You might find yourself unable to engage in small talk without feeling like you're dying inside, or sitting through meetings about quarterly reports while your soul screams that there's got to be more to existence than this. Second, your intuition cranks up to volumes you didn't know were possible. You know things before they happen, sense people's true intentions beneath their words, and receive downloads of information that have no logical source. Third, your energy becomes erratic. Some days you're plugged into a cosmic socket buzzing with vitality. Other days you can barely lift your head because you're processing frequencies and upgrades happening on levels you can't see. The fourth symptom manifests as radical authenticity, where your tolerance for pretense evaporates completely, and you'd rather lose relationships than continue wearing masks that no longer fit. People often experience this as a tower moment, where old friendships crumble, careers implode, and everything false gets stripped away, leaving only what's real and true. Fifth comes the strange dreams and visions. You might find yourself visiting other worlds during sleep, remembering lives on different planets, or receiving teachings from beings who feel more like family than anyone you know in waking life. Sixth, you develop a mission-oriented restlessness, an urgent knowing that you came here to do something specific, even if you can't articulate what that is yet. This calling pulls you forward even when the path isn't clear, even when everyone around you thinks you've lost your mind. Seventh, and perhaps most transformative, you begin experiencing unity consciousness, moments where the boundaries between you and everything else dissolve, where you directly perceive that the same intelligence spinning galaxies is breathing your lungs and beating your heart. Recognizing these symptoms as signs of awakening, rather than problems to fix changes everything about how you navigate the transformation. Instead of medicating the sensitivity away or forcing yourself back into boxes that no longer fit, you start asking, what is my soul trying to show me? Read books like The Soul Remembers by Carlos Warder, or dive into The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. These aren't fantasy. They're roadmaps written by people who've walked this path before you. Join communities of fellow starseeds and awakening souls. Not to create new dogmas, but to remember you're not alone in this cosmic recalibration. Spiritual development accelerates when you stop fighting the symptoms and start seeing them as initiations, each one stripping away another layer of illusion until only the truth of your galactic nature remains. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof that something profoundly right is finally happening, that the galaxy within you is waking up and demanding to be acknowledged. Opening the energetic portal, within every galaxy has a center, a luminous core from which everything spirals outward, and guess what? So do you. Though accessing that inner energetic portal requires intentionality, most people never bother cultivating. Your heart center isn't just a metaphor, it's an actual dimensional gateway, a spiritual portal where the physical and non-physical intersect, where your human experience meets your cosmic essence. When you meditate with focused awareness on this space in the center of your chest, breathing slowly and imagining it expanding with each inhale, you're not just relaxing, you're activating dormant circuitry designed to connect you with higher dimensions of consciousness. The universe responds to attention. Where you place your focus, energy flows and portals open. Ancient mystery schools knew this, which is why practices like Kundalini yoga, Sufi spinning, and Kabbalistic meditation all aim to activate this same internal stargate through which divine intelligence can pour. Here's your practical homework. Create a daily ritual where you consciously open this portal, even if it's just for 5 minutes before the chaos of the day swallows you whole. Light a candle, play a frequency like 528 Hz, the so-called love frequency, sit comfortably, and visualize a sphere of light in your heart expanding until it fills your entire body and then extends beyond it, connecting you to the vast web of consciousness that links all galaxies, all beings, all dimensions. This isn't woo-woo nonsense. Quantum physics is catching up to what mystics have known forever. Everything is connected through fields of energy and information that transcend space and time. When you actively work with this energetic portal, you'll notice synchronicities multiplying, intuition sharpening, and a sense of being guided by something larger than your individual will. Your calling becomes clearer because you're no longer drowning in the noise of surface consciousness. You're receiving transmission from the depths. The energetic portal within also serves as a two-way communication device. Not only can you receive guidance and higher frequency downloads, but you can broadcast your unique signature out into the cosmos, essentially announcing, "I'm awake, I'm here, I'm ready." Spiritual vision develops when this portal stabilizes, allowing you to perceive beyond the five-sense reality into the subtle layers where true causation occurs. You start recognizing that physical reality is the final manifestation of energetic patterns that began in invisible realms. Transformation happens fastest when you realize you're not trying to force change from the outside in, but rather allowing the galaxy within you to express its natural magnificence from the inside out. The portal doesn't create your power. It reveals the power that's been there all along, waiting for you to remember, recognize, and finally, courageously wield it. The dark night before galactic dawn. Nobody talks about this part enough. But the truth is that profound spiritual awakening often comes wrapped in what mystics call the dark night of the soul, a period so disorienting, so utterly devastating, that you wonder if remembering was worth the price. This phase hits when your old identity structure collapses but the new one hasn't fully formed yet, leaving you suspended in a terrifying void where nothing makes sense and everything you once valued feels meaningless. Your career might implode, relationships might end, health might falter, not because you're being punished, but because your soul is orchestrating a complete system reboot. The galaxy within you is clearing out obsolete programming, outdated beliefs, and energetic debris accumulated across lifetimes. And that purge feels a lot like dying, because in a very real sense, a version of you is. Healing during this phase doesn't mean making it stop. It means finding the courage to trust the process even when every cell in your body is screaming that you've made a terrible mistake. Here's what helps during the galactic dark night. First, stop trying to fix yourself or rush back to normal, because there is no going back. That ship sailed the moment you began awakening. Instead, create a bare-bones practice of basics. Sleep when tired, eat when hungry, move your body gently, and let yourself fall apart without judgment. Read poetry by mystics like Rumi or Hafiz who've been through this initiatory fire and came out the other side transformed. Journal without editing, letting the raw, unfiltered truth pour onto pages no one else will see, giving voice to the grief, rage, and terror that comes with watching your world dismantle itself. This is inner peace in its deepest form, not the absence of struggle, but the willingness to be with what is, even when what is feels unbearable. Second, find at least one person who gets it, whether that's a spiritual mentor, a therapist versed in transpersonal psychology, or an online community of others navigating awakening. Spiritual isolation during the dark night can be lethal. Your mind will convince you that you're crazy, broken, or fundamentally flawed, unless you have mirrors reflecting back that this is actually a sacred passage. The dark night eventually gives way to what I call the galactic dawn, that moment when the first ray of new awareness breaks through and you realize you haven't been falling apart. You've been falling together in a configuration more aligned with your true self. Personal growth measured in linear terms makes no sense anymore. You've spiraled into a completely different octave of existence, and the wisdom earned in the darkness becomes the foundation for everything you'll build next. Your consciousness has expanded, and though you can still function in ordinary reality, you now perceive the extraordinary within it, the sacred geometry in a flower, the divine intelligence orchestrating traffic patterns, the love holding atoms together in every single thing. Enlightenment isn't a final destination. It's the ongoing practice of remembering your galactic nature while navigating the very human circumstances of mortgages, relationships, and bodily needs. What emerges from the dark night isn't a perfect person, but an authentic one, flawed, powerful, and finally at home in the vastness they've always been. Living as a galaxy in human form. Once you've remembered your galactic nature, the real work begins. How do you actually live this truth in a world that barely acknowledges consciousness beyond brain chemistry, let alone cosmic origins? The key is integration, which means bringing the insights from your highest meditations down into how you speak to your partner, how you handle frustration in traffic, how you show up at work even when the job feels soul-crushing. Your calling isn't to escape Earth and float off into the ethers. It's to anchor galactic consciousness right here in the messy, beautiful chaos of human existence. This is what spiritual growth looks like in practical terms. Choosing compassion when you want to react. Holding space for someone else's process when you're tired. Speaking truth even when your voice shakes. Each choice to embody higher consciousness in mundane moments is like planting stars in the density, slowly illuminating the collective field. Living as a galaxy means recognizing that your very presence affects reality more than you've been taught to believe. Energy doesn't lie, and people feel it when you walk into a room operating from a centered, awakened state. They might not understand why, but they're drawn to your frequency like moths to flame. Use this consciously. In conversations, practice being the space that allows others to unfold rather than the voice that dominates. In conflicts, hold the highest vision for everyone involved, even when they can't see it for themselves. When making decisions, check in with your inner galactic core. Does this choice align with who I really am? Or am I shrinking to fit someone else's expectations? Start saying no to what drains your light and yes to what feeds your soul, even if it disappoints people who liked you better when you were dimmer and more controllable. This isn't selfish. It's how you fulfill your mission, by being so authentically, unapologetically yourself that you give others permission to do the same. The ultimate expression of living as a galaxy is understanding that you're both the observer and the creator of your reality, a paradox that collapses when you stop trying to figure it out intellectually and start experiencing it directly. Meditation becomes not a practice you do but a state you return to moment by moment, remembering that beneath the roles and stories, you are infinite consciousness temporarily pretending to be finite. Self-knowledge deepens each time you catch yourself lost in drama and laugh at the cosmic theater of it all. Each time you choose love over fear, expansion over contraction, truth over comfort. Your true self is both unimaginably vast and intimately personal, both ancient as stars and fresh as this morning's sunrise, both profoundly alone in its unique expression and utterly connected to everything that exists. Living this awareness transforms everything without changing anything. The circumstances might look similar, but you're experiencing them from a galactic center that can never again be shaken by life's inevitable storms. A center that remembers it is, and always has been, eternal. The cosmic ripple effect of your awakening. Here's something that might blow your mind. Your personal spiritual awakening isn't actually personal at all. It's a cosmic event with ripple effects that extend far beyond your individual life. When one soul remembers it is a galaxy, the frequency of that remembrance propagates through the quantum field, making it slightly easier for other souls to remember too, like tuning forks resonating in sympathy. Consciousness researchers call this morphic resonance, mystics call it grid work. But whatever term you use, the principle is the same. You elevating your soul contributes to collective transformation in ways you'll never fully see or measure. This means that every meditation you complete, every shadow you integrate, every moment you choose love over fear is not just healing you. It's healing the entire web of consciousness in which we're all embedded. Your ancestors feel it backwards through time, your descendants will feel it forward, and every being currently alive benefits from the light you've worked so hard to embody. Understanding this cosmic ripple effect changes why you do the work in the first place. It's no longer about personal achievement or even personal healing. It becomes an act of service to the universe itself, which is trying to evolve through and as you. When you hit resistance in your spiritual development, when old patterns resurface and you're tempted to think you're not making progress, remember that transformation spirals rather than proceeds linearly. You're not back where you started. You're encountering the same themes from a higher octave of awareness, integrating them more deeply each time. The galaxy within you spins on timescales that dwarf human impatience. Trust the process even when you can't see the results. Join or create circles of awakened beings who understand this work, not to bypass your individual journey, but to amplify the collective field through coherent group consciousness. When two or more gather with the intention to embody higher frequencies, the effect multiplies exponentially, opening energetic portals that individual practice can't access. The ripple effect also means taking responsibility for the energy you're broadcasting into the collective field every single moment. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs aren't private events happening in the vacuum of your skull. They're frequencies transmitted into the shared reality we're all co-creating. When you indulge in victimhood, cynicism, or separation consciousness, you add those frequencies to the mix. When you choose presence, gratitude, and unity awareness despite circumstances that would justify bitterness, you're literally changing the composition of the collective consciousness. Mysticism has always taught what quantum physics now confirms. The observer affects the observed. Consciousness collapses probability waves into actual events, and you are far more powerful than the cultural trance would have you believe. Your awakening matters not because you're special, though you absolutely are, but because you're an integral part of a living, conscious cosmos that needs every galaxy within it shining at full capacity. The universe didn't make a mistake when it made you. It crafted a unique perspective through which it could know itself more fully. And your remembrance completes a circuit that's been waiting, perhaps for lifetimes, to finally conduct light, becoming the frequency you seek. Most people spend their whole lives chasing external circumstances they believe will make them feel how they want to feel. But here's the galactic truth that flips the script. You must become the frequency you seek before reality can reflect it back to you. This isn't metaphor, it's energetic law. If you want peace, you must cultivate inner peace first, not after your circumstances improve. If you want love, you must become love itself, radiating it before anyone shows up to receive it. If you want abundance, you must vibrate abundance consciousness, even while your bank account says otherwise, trusting that the outer world always, eventually, conforms to the inner frequency you consistently hold. This is where most spiritual seekers get stuck. They wait for conditions to change so they can feel better, not realizing they've got the equation backwards. Your soul didn't incarnate to react to circumstances. It came to generate reality from the inside out, to be the galaxy that births new worlds through the sheer force of its conscious intention and aligned vibration. Practically speaking, becoming the frequency means catching yourself multiple times a day in habitual emotional states and consciously choosing differently. When anxiety arises, instead of spiraling into worst-case scenarios, pause, breathe, and ask your higher self, what would I be feeling if everything was already working out perfectly? Then embody that feeling as fully as possible, even for 30 seconds. When you feel lack, scarcity, or not enoughness, consciously shift into appreciation for what is present. The breath in your lungs, the roof overhead, the miracle of consciousness itself. This isn't toxic positivity that bypasses legitimate pain. It's quantum navigation that recognizes you're steering your trajectory with the vibration you consistently emit. Practice this in meditation. Choose a quality you want more of: joy, clarity, power, peace, and spend 10 minutes simply being that frequency, not thinking about it or visualizing it, but vibrating as if every cell in your body is tuned to that exact channel. Your energy will learn what that frequency feels like, making it easier to access in daily life when you need it most. Becoming the frequency also requires ruthless examination of what you're actually emanating versus what you think or hope you're putting out. Your true vibration is revealed by what shows up in your life. If you keep attracting drama, you're broadcasting drama frequency no matter how much you claim to want peace. If opportunities consistently fall through, somewhere in your energetic field you're holding beliefs about unworthiness or impossibility that contradict your conscious desires. Self-knowledge at this level demands brutal honesty. What am I actually believing about myself, about life, about reality? What stories am I telling that keep recreating the same patterns? Shadow work is essential here, meeting the disowned parts of yourself with compassion, integrating the shame, rage, and fear you've been too spiritual to acknowledge. Only when you become whole, consciously embracing all aspects of your galactic nature, including the dark matter, can you emit a clear, coherent frequency powerful enough to reshape your reality. The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are, and transformation happens the moment you stop pretending and start being the truth you came here to embody. Conclusion. So what now? You've just downloaded a massive transmission about your galactic nature. Are you going to let this be another interesting thing you read and forget? Or are you ready to actually live it? The soul doesn't remember it's a galaxy through intellectual understanding alone. It remembers through embodied practice, through showing up day after day to meditate, to choose consciousness over habit, to be the light even when darkness feels overwhelming. Ask yourself, what would change in my life if I truly believed I was a galaxy in human form? How would I speak, move, choose, love, if I remembered my cosmic origin every single moment? What am I still tolerating that's completely beneath the dignity of an awakened being? These aren't rhetorical questions. Write them down, sit with them, let them rearrange your priorities from the inside out. The universe is calling you home, not to some distant planet, but to the truth of what you've always been beneath the amnesia, the conditioning, the fear. Your spiritual awakening isn't a luxury or a hobby. It's the most important work you'll ever do because it liberates not just you, but everyone your energy touches across space and time. Are you going to answer the call? Or are you going to hit snooze for another lifetime? What's one thing you'll do today, right now, to honor the galaxy within you? Who will you become when you finally stop shrinking to fit a world that was never big enough to contain you? Subscribe to this channel and enable notifications because we're just getting started. There are cosmic mysteries, practical teachings, and activation codes coming that will support your continued awakening. The soul remembers it is a galaxy not alone but in community. So become part of this tribe of rememberers. And together we'll light up this planet one awakened being at a time. See you in the cosmos.